World Mental Health Day on the 10th of October each year, and I sort of intended this morning to do some kind of content on it. And as the day went on, I was busy doing other things, and I constantly had a look at social media to see what was happening, and a lot of content was on mental health and mental health awareness, which is a good thing, but it also made me think, what is the point in me adding more content into stuff that's already out there? But I guess mental health awareness is all about everybody sharing their own story or their own experience or something that might help somebody else who reads it or hears it. So I thought, yeah, to hell with it. It's 8 o'clock at night. I may as well do something. So in doing something, the truth for myself in terms of my own mental health is that I've struggled with my own mental health since about the age of 8, and I'm now 46, I think. And I had certain things that happened in my childhood, family traumas, I suppose you would call it, which stuck with me for a very long time. And I dealt with it in different ways. It did leave me as a person, I think, wired to be looking for more perfection because I had imperfections in my life. Standing on my own 2 feet because I felt like I didn't have a structure around me that was strong enough to support me. And I felt like I was always getting into a leadership kind of role. And it kind of made me driven, which was great in some ways. And I did well enough at school. And I guess I've got a good enough career and I've built a business. But in other ways, at different times in my life, it worked in truth against me as well. But it did make me realise, especially like when you have kids, you get a big wake up call about life in general. And I think it made me realise when I had kids that, and with my parents passing away, that I needed to address certain problems that I had. So I started taking medication in late 2017 into 2018. I did that for a few years, and then I've been doing it again for about the last 6 months as well. So I've been taking antidepressants because I just reached a point where I felt I was about to break again. So there's no shame in that. And I think the more people that reach out for that level of help, if you've already reached that level, it's important to get the right advice. I also wanted to share my own take on mental health. I think that mental health is such a varied range of things, and it's a phrase that's bandied about quite a lot. But I just wonder, is it having enough impact in the format that it's in? I like to talk about mental health and fitness. Personally, it's just wording that I like to use to change the dynamic of it, because being physically fit and healthy, I immediately correlate that into being mentally fit and healthy as well. So not just mental health, because I think there's still at times this bit of a stigma around that, especially for males. So mental health and fitness, I think, helps to broaden the thought process around that. So, and that's just a take on words, and that's something I've learned from my NLP practitioner training in terms of how important communication, words, and body language is in relation to how we receive information and how we process it as well. I'd also give 4 tips that I think are useful from my own experience with mental health. And it's around sleep, speak, structure, and acceptance. Sleep speaks for itself. You do need to certainly try to get 7-8 hours sleep. If you've got young kids or you've got babies, forget about it. It's not going to happen for a while. But when they get to a certain age, try to get your 7-8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. When you get to a certain age, I think later 40s maybe and so on, sleep gets a wee bit more less required and interrupted. But don't listen to the people who tell you to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning or 4 a.m. and sleep for 4 hours and you'll be fine. These people are going to hit a wall someday. If you listen to certain episodes of Stephen Bartlett's podcast, Diary of a CEO, there was a sleep expert on recently. There was a female doctor, I can't remember her name, but her podcast episode was very good, and a few other medical professionals and mental health professionals, and they're all saying sleep is absolutely vital to human existence. There are certain chemical things and reactions that happens in your brain when you're sleeping, and cleansing of your system that happens when you're sleeping. I think we should know that if you're going to be a super high performing athlete, your rest days are just as important. So your sleep is as important. So don't listen to the getting up at the crack of dawn, 4 a.m. and killing the day before 7. It's a load of nonsense. Secondly, I talked about speak. So it's about learning to be able to vocalize how you're actually feeling. Try to do that with yourself if it's too uncomfortable with somebody else. But if you're, if you can talk to your other half, your spouse, your partner, family members, a close friend, a mentor, or if you need to go and speak to a professional, the hardest bit of doing that is making that first step. I know in April this year I was holding a lot of things in and my wife could see it, but when I started speaking about it, I immediately kind of realised and agreed I do need to speak to the doctor on this occasion. So speaking and getting over that first hurdle is the hardest part of it. The one part of speaking may be enough to allow you to talk a wee bit more and get more comfortable about trying to vocalise how you're actually feeling. And look, if you're feeling like shit, then say you're feeling like shit. Don't butter it up any other way. Structure as well is about trying to have some kind of structure in your days and your weeks. I'm talking about that, I suppose, from a business owner's perspective, but also as a parent. Now, structure as a parent can be very unstructured at times. Our youngest girl is autistic, so that makes structure very difficult to try to achieve. But trying to achieve some kind of structure in your day, and I'm not talking about morning routines and stuff, although they can be helpful, or building in sort of ice baths and meditations. I'm not talking about any of that stuff. I'm just talking about trying to get certain things done, or if you're trying to build a new habit, start very small, because all the small steps gradually make a difference. I think I've heard and read that it's sort of like 21 days of repetitive action can build a something that's more likely going to be a permanent habit. So just start small and create some kind of structure where you can. But the last part that I've mentioned, the last of the 4 tips, would be acceptance. And that is just accept that sometimes shit happens. Sometimes things don't go according to plan. Sometimes people will piss you off in traffic. Sometimes your kids are going to be mental. Sometimes you're going to deal with customers and stuff and things aren't going to go according to plan there. That's life. How you react with that and deal with it is actually the most important thing. So apologising when things need to be corrected, fixing things quickly when they need to be fixed. Sometimes just taking a wee bit of a step back and a breather is all important as well. But also accepting that whatever the reality is at this point in time, that is the reality and it's actually okay to be like that. But nothing lasts forever. Most things don't last forever. I watched a thing, I remember a video, I think Tom Hanks was talking about using the phrase, this too will pass. So when you're going through some shit times, this too will pass. And when you're going through some great times, this too will pass, because life just has its ups and downs. And the more you realise that you just need to try to accept that that's what's happened, and people passing away and all sorts of stuff in your life, helps you to have a bit more resilience and a stronger and fitter mind. So that's where mental health can be improved as well. And I've learned some of this stuff through my own reading, through my own content, sort of digestion, and through my NLP practitioner training, and through having crazy kids and all sorts of clients and having a team of staff, and all the stuff we all deal with in life will throw you challenges and curveballs, and just learn to accept certain things, talk about other things, try to structure things where you possibly can, and get some bloody sleep. And on that note, I'm off to see what the story is indoors and see what time I'm going to start getting to sleep at tonight.